FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is August 2nd, 2019. I am still in Vancouver, getting out of here tomorrow. Hey, questions, comments, as always, email me, kl@kerrylutz.com. I got Rob McEwen with us, McEwen Mining. Rob, you kind of really don't even need an introduction, but we're really thrilled to have you on. With all you've accomplished, everything you've done, you're doing it again. Why are you back in here? I mean, you could have just had a nice retirement and just kind of enjoyed your life, but you're back again.
That's true, Kerry. Goldcorp was a great run, and some other ones after that. In 2003, my wife and I set up a medical research center in the largest research hospital in Canada to look into applying stem cells and regenerative medicine to the healthcare system and trying to bring down healthcare costs. And the mining industry had been Mother Nature's been very kind to me, and I felt if we could improve our healthcare system, because there's a great need, I could use the mining industry to do that. So the profits from McEwen Mining are going into medical research and educational research. I also think that this is an area that a lot of investors have ignored, and they should have exposure to it because our governments around the world have been expanding the monetary base at a horrific rate and driving interest rates to the ground and below, which are penalizing so many people because their capital doesn't grow as much and they're needing income. So mining for me is a way of trying to protect not only my own but all my shareholders' wealth and growing it.
Yeah, and it's obvious. What we've seen here, profligate spending, no desire for fiscal discipline, no monetary discipline. We even have the antithesis of monetary discipline, modern monetary theory, which has got to be the height of insanity. And yet, you know, what is it, Rob? You're a student of humanity. I would call you a Renaissance man. You observe people. What is it about man that even though we've been down this road before, you can't get something for nothing. You can't get value if you don't create value. And yet humanity never stops trying.
A lot of people just would like to think that there's a constant state and they're going to get more of the pie every day for less effort. And the governments pander to that. And I mean, you go back to ancient Rome. Caesar was plying his populace with flagons of wine and bags of flour and silver coin. I just don't think politicians, they think they have to give away money to be popular. And it seems to work.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen, you and I in our course of our lifetime, seen so many of them do it, bread and circuses, all of that. And it all ends the same. But I guess as long as you're not the guy left holding the bag when it all goes downhill, then it was fine.
That's right. And I mean, there are these cycles we forget about. Bernard Baruch had a book reprinted, The Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. And it's a very good read. It covers a time before us, but I'd say the modern Bernard Baruch is Ray Dalio coming out with his talks and books about how you should have gold to protect your portfolio.
Yeah, and then we see something like Bitcoin. Now, cryptocurrencies might have a future. They might be very useful, but a crypto bubble is going to be the worst thing because there's no limit to the amount of people who can be harmed by it.
Yes. Well, the crypto bubble is something like the Zimbabwe currencies. Back in 2006, someone gave me a bill and it was $100 billion. And I thought, now I'm a centibillionaire. And then about a couple of months later, they gave me a $100 trillion note, and I was now a centatrillionaire, and it wouldn't even buy a loaf of bread. It gets more money on the internet now as a collector's item. But we have to be worried about the government spending, the low interest rates, you start thinking about pension plans. They can't meet the promises they made with interest rates where they are today. And it's forced a large part of the population, these low interest rates, to go into riskier and riskier investments that don't have a good ending usually.
Yeah, agreed. And there's nobody, well, there are people sounding the alarm, but nobody in the mainstream is sounding the alarm. It's kind of like all those doomers, they call us doomers. And a doomer is just somebody who's looked out in the future and doesn't think it's all bright, marmalade skies and everything is perfect. There's always risk. Maybe we'll find a way out of it, but the existing system as we know it is probably not going to be around in the future.
Absolutely. They're business cycles and you have to be aware of them.
For sure. So looking at your company, so companies that actually exploit resources, that take wealth out of the ground, actually do increase wealth in society, unlike many other endeavors like financialization that just pushes money around and really creates no value, long-term value or wealth. So where's the company at right now, Rob?
We're in the building stage. We're diversified geographically. We're in Canada, the United States, Mexico, Argentina. We're diversified by metal. We produce gold and silver, and we have a large copper deposit. We just brought a new mine on in Nevada called Gold Bar, and we're quite excited about its prospects. It's a 7.5-year life. We think we can take it to 9. It happens to be below one of Barrick's largest gold mines in the world, so it's in a very prospective area. And we'll be drilling. We have a large drill program. In Canada, we bought a mine there in 2017 very inexpensively. We paid 6 cents on the dollar spent by the previous owner, and have been pushing a lot of money into the ground looking for it. And it's generating some very good results. In Mexico, we had a small mine we put in production, and now we're waiting for the Mexican government to approve a permit to build a silver mine basically next door to it. Argentina, we have a silver gold mine that's been going since 2007. And also in Argentina, we have a very large copper project that gives us optionality to copper as well. We have $50 million worth of debt. Our balance sheet has sufficient liquidity to cover what we need to accomplish this year. We trade on 90% of our trade is on our New York listing, 10% on Toronto. And it's, I'd say that the pros are the diversification, the trading liquidity, the insider ownership, owning 22% of the company, and my cost base is $164 million. And I take $1 a year in salary.
Yeah, so if you were to give yourself 100% raise, you'd get $2.
Yes, exactly.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Trilogy Metals is a world-class developer in Alaska's Ambler Mining District. The company already possesses 8 billion pounds of copper, 3 billion pounds of zinc, over 1 million gold-equivalent ounces, and now over 77 million pounds of cobalt. Trilogy's Arctic project boasts an after-tax net present value of $1.4 billion with a 33% IRR. Trilogy is led by an experienced management team with proven success in discovering and developing projects in Alaska. The company is well capitalized, has no debt, and possesses strong institutional support. Trilogy trades on the New York and Toronto exchanges under the ticker symbol TMQ. To learn more, go to trilogymetals.com. That's trilogymetals.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
The cons are, right now, our average all-in sustaining cost is about $100 higher than the industry average, and we're working to pull that down. And a couple of our mines have short mine life, and we're hoping to stretch those to 9 years. And we have a very high beta to gold, according to Bloomberg. We're better than 3, a beta of 3, so we're supposed to move more violently than gold does.
So when you see a day like yesterday, August 1st, price of gold up nearly $32 the ounce, what does that do for your company?
We tend to move 3 times the percentage move of gold. But I have to point out, that's up and down. Mm-hmm. So if you're risk adverse, and you're looking for a gold investment, we might not be the first place you want to put your money. But if you're looking and you have a positive view on gold and you want greater leverage to the price of gold, you might want to consider us.
Okay. And 5 years from now, where do you picture the company being?
We'd have more production. Our goal is to qualify for the S&P index, and there's only one gold stock in the S&P right now, and that's Newmont.
Right.
And in order to, we're a Colorado incorporated company, and the only way you can get into the S&P is by being an American company. So you have one company. Newmont's market cap as a percentage of the aggregate market cap of all of the companies in the S&P is 0.1 of 1%.
Wow.
So no one. That really shows, and the S&P, the aggregate market cap, represents 80% of all the public companies in the country. So this means America is very underinvested in gold. And you have to go back in time a bit, but in the late 80s, Homestake Mining, which was the largest gold miner around, it was 4.5% of the value of the New York Stock Exchange.
That tells you a lot about values, about where investors perceive value as opposed to where it is. So getting on the S&P, getting to that point, there's a lot of work to be done. One thing that kind of goes against McEwen Mining and the entire sector is there's no analyst coverage. I didn't see anyone here from S&P. I didn't see anybody here from any major financial house. Maybe there's a few in Canada that I don't know, but from the U.S., this sector doesn't exist. So I guess what's happened is that the companies themselves have to become their own marketing department, their own spokesman, which in your position, you can pick up the phone and get people to come cover the company. But these other companies, without your resources, they don't have the ability to do that.
The interest has been in the broad market. It's been in the cannabis, it's been in the tech, the biotech. And people have basically heard about gold. It's underperformed. Gold as a metal has underperformed the S&P and the Dow. But what people aren't focusing on, the bull market in gold started at the beginning of 2016. So gold's up about 35%, or it was up on July 29th. And the S&P was up mid-40s, the Dow was up mid-50s. But if you looked at the ETFs for the senior gold stocks, the GDX and the GDXJ, they were up over 100%. They're up over 100% above how the Dow's performed, and that's been totally lost in the market.
Yeah. I guess what I'm asking is, what's going to take for Wall Street, in quotes, because there is no more Wall Street. Wall Street is basically just a scene. It's just a movie set, because none of the business with Wall Street actually takes place on Wall Street anymore. But what's it going to take for the financial sector to really rediscover precious metals?
The media is going to have to pick up on these gains. I mean, the juniors, I know a couple of juniors that in the last year have delivered a 5x return and a 10x return. So those stories, just like the building of the tech area, there's stories of large profits being made, and that starts attracting it. But it also requires the industry to go out and do a lot of missionary work, go in front of people. When I was running Goldcorp, the brokers would say, well, we're going to take you around and introduce you to gold mining companies. I said, I don't need that. I want to meet the people who don't buy gold. I want to tell them why they should be buying gold, and then what gold stocks they should think about. And that was quite successful. But I just said, look, there's a very tiny market sliver that gold stocks are operating in, and investors. In Goldcorp's case, we had 67% gross margins and 37% net margins. I said, that's a growth stock. And growth stocks represent 34% of the market. So take me to the people who buy growth stocks. And so you really have to go out and tell the story and show them what's been happening, and show them the gold price and gold stocks have been depressed, pushed down. They were pushed down almost 90% from their highs. They're coming off a bottom. You look at the stock market and say, what are the chances of the Dow doubling, going up to 54,000, as opposed to gold doubling? And I'd have to say the chances of gold and gold stocks going delivering a faster return than the rest of the market is very high.
Yeah. So maybe we just need one real stellar performer, the next Goldcorp, to really bring a spotlight to the sector. But in the meantime, the companies that are out there, they've got to make the investment, even if they don't see an immediate payback on it. They've got to get out there. They've got to get their names out there, and they've got to really build public awareness, because otherwise, even when that one stellar stock hits, it might be a big yawn event.
Exactly. So we need to talk to more influential voices like yourself and go around the country.
Yeah. Well, great point. Great interview. Rob, wish you the best. Just tell us website where we find you guys at.
Our stock symbol is MUX, and it's McEwenmining.com.
Perfect. And we'll make a note of it. There'll be a link in the show notes to this interview. Thanks so much, Rob.
Thank you very much, Kerry. Appreciate it.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.